Hello and welcome back to Rhonda Says, Healthy Living from A to Z. We are on chapter B today. We're going to talk about breathing. I'm sure many of you understand the whole concept of breath control, and there's a lot of things out there about it. If you have any questions about it, I'm a firm believer in it. When I first learned about pranayama breathing, I had a condition with my heart where my heart would just race all the time. And I went to the doctor and my heart rate would be up in the 90s. Sometimes it would go over 100. We couldn't really figure out what was going on. I was in really good shape. I was exercising. I was eating well, but we couldn't really understand what was going on with my heart. And finally, the doctor just said, one day your heart is just going to stop. Scared me to death because he couldn't really give me a reason why anything was happening. So I decided to take a yoga class, and it was on relaxation. And I asked the yogi after the class if there was something that could decrease my heart rate. He said, absolutely, and it works very effectively. Within 4 weeks, my heart rate was down to about 70. Never had trouble with it since then. So I'm going to teach you some of that. One of the problems is that most of us are chest breathers. And because I grew up in the bodybuilding world back when I was in my teenage years, you kind of get to where you suck in the abdominals all the time and you're just holding it there. And it kind of restricts things sometimes, and you can find yourself breathing just in the upper part of your lungs. If that's you, the first thing you need to do is learn how to relax your stomach. So just let it go. And if you're a fitness enthusiast like I am, when I first started trying to do this in that yoga class, my abs rebelled. Like they would literally shake because they were so used to being held so tight all the time. So I think that's probably why my heart rate continued to go up. I just wasn't breathing properly. So you want to breathe deep into the diaphragm, which ends about the end of your rib cage. Now you do want to be able to keep the transverse abdominis nice and tight. That's the very lower part of the abs that wraps around your body. It's like a corset. But you still want to be able to breathe fully and let everything relax. Another thing I learned was that you can trigger the sympathetic nervous system and you can trigger the parasympathetic nervous system simply by breathing. So how many times have you gotten frustrated and you've gone like a really deep inhale and then a quick exhale? Well, that triggers the sympathetic nervous system. It makes you anxious. It's going to make your heart rate go up, your blood pressure go up. So what you want to do is learn how to reverse that so that you're inhaling and then you're exhaling more counts. This takes some practice. When I first started trying to do this, I felt like I was drowning. No kidding. Don't give up because the benefits far outweigh the discomfort that it is in the beginning. So the first thing you do is you start with a low number, and maybe you can only start with the same number in and out. So maybe you go in, you breathe in through the nose for 4 and out through the mouth for 4. That might be all you can handle right now. And then you just work up. Breathe in for 4 and out for 5. In for 4, out for 6. In for 4, out for 7. Then you can start getting creative. Breathe in for 4, hold for 2, breathe out for 7. And just play with those numbers. There's all kinds of things out there as far as the best numbers. You can Google it and get information about that. But what I have found is that everybody kind of has their own favorites. Everybody kind of has this, once you get to a certain number, that it just feels right. So that's what I want you to practice on. Hand on your belly, hand on your chest. If your chest lifts first, that's not right. You want your belly to expand first. Then fill the chest. Start working on your numbers and your counts and see which one triggers that parasympathetic nervous system and really helps you calm down. It's great when you're trying to go to sleep. That's how I go to sleep most nights, is just focusing on that breathing. and getting that calmness over my body. Another thing that's really fun and interesting, have you ever been sitting in a meeting and you just could not stay awake? Next time that happens, I want you to do this little trick. Plug one side of your nose and breathe. Then plug the other side and breathe. Which side is open and which side is closed? The right nostril is your awake nostril. The left one is your asleep nostril. So if you're in a board meeting and you're really sleepy, it's probably because your left side is open and the right side is clogged. So if you can find a way to not look silly, but plug that left side and force yourself to breathe out of the right side, you'll wake up. Now the cool thing is you can do that with sleep as well. When you're laying in bed and you cannot fall asleep, see which side is open and which side is closed. Most of the time, the left side is going to be closed and the right side is wide awake. So you do the same thing. Just find a way to plug the right side of your nostril, force yourself to breathe through the left side. This can also be tough, and it can also be another one that makes you feel like you're drowning, because if it's closed, it doesn't want to open. So you may have to take little breaks where you're like, almost feeling like you're going to gasp for air. At least when I first started trying to do this, that was what was happening with me. Keep at it, because eventually that left side will just pop and it'll open up and you'll start getting sleepy. So it works like a charm. You have to get used to the feeling of it. Don't give up, but take the time to breathe every day. Get out of that chest and into that belly. Count and find out what's awake and what's asleep. And until next time, journey on.